When Jasmine Rosetti stepped off the city bus that morning, she felt the familiar flutter of nerves in her stomach. Her worn canvas jacket was patched on the sleeve, the faded backpack dug into her shoulders, and her black jeans, though clean, had seen better days. This was all by careful design, a role she'd slipped into for the week, blending into the hum of commuters hustling toward glass towers and polished lobbies. Her destination was the sprawling headquarters of Solaris Tech, a company built from decades of innovation and, more recently, her family's vision. But today, no one knew her as a Rosetti. She was just Jazz, this week's temp, reporting for her first shift at the front desk. Her hair was darker now, her voice softer. All week, people's true colors bled through the facade. She wasn't here to flaunt privilege, but to observe, to see firsthand the machinery that kept Solaris Tech alive. The day began with little more than administrative tedium. She watched the building's rhythms unfold, delivery people dropping off stacks of parcels, executives gliding past in tailored suits, receptionists answering phones with bright efficiency. That's when she first noticed him. Cameron Sullivan, expensive loafers, a custom-fitted suit, and the kind of confidence that lingered like cologne in the air around him. He was a fixture in the lobby, barking orders into his phone, tossing his coffee cup into the trash with barely a glance. His badge read Senior Project Manager, and his laughter rang out too loud when he greeted security, eyes always scanning for someone more important. Jasmine was filling out a visitor's pass when Cameron zeroed in on her.
Hey you, are you lost? Maintenance is that way.
I'm not lost. I'm here for the temp position on the admin team.
Well, aren't we lucky? They'll let anyone in these days, huh? Tell you what, you can go clear out the supply closet. That's about all you're dressed for.
Jasmine registered the snickers from a few onlookers. Heat rose in her cheeks, but she only nodded, refusing to give him the satisfaction of a reaction. He didn't know that the regional director had asked for a private review of employee morale. He didn't know that Jasmine Rosetti, the poor new temp, had grown up listening to boardroom negotiations at her father's knee, absorbing lessons in both compassion and cunning. She spent her morning quietly managing the front desk, tracking packages, answering phone calls, taking notes, while Cameron's derision lingered in the air like bad weather. He went out of his way to adjust her schedule, sending her on pointless errands to the far end of the building and criticizing her work loudly enough for others to hear. By day 3, the contrast between Cameron and the rest of the staff had become painfully clear. Where some colleagues greeted Jasmine with kindness, showing her shortcuts and sharing lunch, Cameron delighted in singling her out. He'd hover by her desk, scoff at her modest lunch, then brag about his new car, tossing his keys on the counter for dramatic effect.
You know, first impressions matter. You should maybe invest in a, what do they call it, wardrobe upgrade. Or is that out of your budget?
A few people snickered.
What you wear doesn't always show who you are.
Sure, maybe in your world.
Jasmine's test week drew to a close. Her daily report, a candid 2-page memo on employee culture and the disparity between leaders and staff, was ready. The senior management team, including the owner himself, her father, would be reviewing it in the Friday boardroom meeting. Her father stood, smiling at her. He then addressed her formally. "Madame Vice President, would you care to begin?"
Vice President?
This week, I worked incognito on the admin team, observing our workplace culture. I'd like to discuss some troubling experiences.
She gave a brief, professional account, highlighting both acts of kindness and moments of disrespect. When she mentioned Cameron's treatment of the new temp, his face drained of color.
Look, I didn't know who you were.
That's the point. You didn't need to know. How you treat people when you think they have nothing to offer you. That's your real character, not your title.
I'm sorry, I thought you were…
Homeless. You tried to humiliate me because you assumed I was beneath you. Maybe you should consider what that means for your future here.
In the weeks that followed, the fallout was swift. Jasmine's report led to new anti-bullying measures and improved staff training. Cameron, stripped of his management title, was reassigned and found himself working under the guidance of the very temp he'd tried to belittle. The next time Jasmine passed him in the corridor, she wore a sharp blazer and a quiet smile. Cameron, humbled, nodded in greeting. No longer loud, no longer laughing. Jasmine's lesson rang clear to everyone who saw what happened. In this company, dignity outranked status, and just because someone looked like an underdog didn't mean they weren't the one writing the rules all along.